Hello from the banks of McHenry Creek, but up the hill just a little bit. It's study your Bible more because it's just absolutely fascinating. I want to talk about some very familiar families in the book of Genesis tonight, and I hope you look forward to it. We're going to hear some people that you've known and heard stories about, and now I'm going to be able to fill in some gaps on a couple of stories that we never really understood. I think I do. I think I've got them figured out. You be the judge, and let's have some fun. Remember these people. Well, how about Noah? Sure. He had 3 sons, and let's take a look at a couple of them. Noah, Shem, Parched Chad was another son, was Shem's son, then Shilach, Eber, Peleg, Nahor, Terah, Abraham, Isaac, and then Jacob and Esau. So that's one line, one son under Noah. Let's move to another one. Noah, Ham. His son was Cush, and then Cush's son was Nimrod. He had a lot of other sons, but Nimrod was the last. Cush, it said in the Bible, took another wife in his old age and begat Nimrod. Long time past. So what we got is Abraham and Isaac's 2 sons, Jacob and Esau. Remember Jacob, his 12 sons are the 12 tribes of Israel. So we got Jacob and Esau and Nimrod living at the same time period. They're contemporaries. They coexisted. So Nimrod was a contemporary with Jacob and Esau. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. Something about Jacob and Esau, mainly Esau and Nimrod. In reality, the Bible doesn't say a lot about Nimrod, but what we do know from the Bible, and based on Jewish historians, we can really describe Nimrod pretty good, his entire life. He was a king of the East. You'll recognize some of these names if you've done much Sunday school and church in your life. How about Shinar, Nineveh, Babylon? He was the king of these areas. He was involved in that Tower of Babel thing. But how about this one? Ur of the Chaldeans. Recognize that place? Let me tune you up on that. Someone famous is from there. We've got Shem's line, and remember Nahor, Terah, Abram. Take stuff out of context. Don't mix what I'm saying. Don't change what I'm saying. Don't misquote. Where can we find out more about Nimrod? Well, there were other writings besides what we call the books of the Old Testament. Matter of fact, in this day, they didn't hardly have anything. We've discussed the book of Enoch in some of our earlier studies, McHenry Creek Bible Stuff studies. And what about Jasher? We've talked about that. If you've watched some of those videos, you will remember, we actually read in the book of Joshua from the Bible, 1 Samuel from the Bible. They both mention the book of Jasher, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. It may be Y instead of J, who knows. But here's what Joshua said. Didn't you learn from the writings of Jasher? It was a given that everyone then had been taught from the book of Jasher. They didn't have, remember, all our New Old Testament like we have. So Enoch, Jasher, the book of Jubilees, these were common readings then. They're not in the Bible. I don't think they need to be. But there were other writings that were used by Old Testament people. Where? The original book of Jasher. It appears that there are no original copies anywhere at this time. Not even found in some of the fragments of Dead Sea Scrolls like Enoch was. But we can find on the internet, there's a book of Jasher. But it was translated somewhere at 1000 to 1100 AD after Jesus' death, or in the day of our Lord is kind of what that really means. But no one is certain what that was translated from, that one in 1000 AD. Hey, it could have been translated from that original Jasher. We don't know. We don't know exactly where it came from, because right now there is no original book of Jasher. The one you found on the internet may or may not be 100% accurate. ideas. But what we do have parallels the Bible, boom, 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 verse by verse by verse. It mostly quotes the Bible, but what it does, it adds some things in there to finish a story. The Bible tells us a lot of beginning of story, but it doesn't finish. Remember, I'm going to point this out a little later. The Bible, the way it's written and put together, it is a purpose. There's an exact reason that we have the books that we have. We didn't need Enoch and Jasher and Jubilees. There's nothing wrong with having these other writings. The Old Testament people used them. That's a fact. Indisputable fact. But the extra writings in Jasher that's not in the Bible doesn't need to be there for the Bible to accomplish its purpose. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Chapter 7, verse 10. And these are the sons of Ham: Cush, Mitzrayim, Phut, Canaan. 4 sons it says. And the sons of Cush: Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, Sachecha. And the sons of Ramah: Sheba and Dedan. That's straight out of the Bible. Now watch this. This is Genesis 10:7. We just read Jasher 7:10. Here's Genesis 10:7. The sons of Cush: Sheba, Havilah, Sabata, Sabata, Ramah. Yeah, these are the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. Whoa, Jasher 7:10 and Genesis 10:7, exact match. And you'll find this all through the book of Jasher. It just mirrors the Bible verse after verse, but it's going to fill in some gaps here that the Bible didn't need. Now here's Genesis 10:8. Now Cush became the father of Nimrod. He began to be a mighty man on the earth. Talking about Nimrod. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. What does it mean when it says he began to be a mighty man, a mighty hunter? He didn't begin as a mighty hunter. So what caused him to become a mighty hunter? Again, Bible says Nimrod, he began to be a mighty man. Apparently he didn't start out that way. What does it mean? Well, he didn't begin as a mighty hunter, so what caused him to become the mighty hunter? I'm not even going to tell you tonight. That's next week. Wait till then. I promise you, you're going to go, whoa. Chapters in Jasher match up exactly with Genesis and Jewish historians of back then. Jacob and Esau, contemporaries with Nimrod. We're going to put those together in a story that the Bible tells us a little bit about. How about that? Tells us about Jacob and Esau and Nimrod, puts them together. So let's get to the point that I'm trying to make tonight. This is Genesis 25, verses 29 to 34. When Jacob had cooked stew, Esau came in from the field and he was famished. This is straight out of the Bible. And Esau said to Jacob, "Please let me have a swallow of that red stuff." He pointed. "Let me have some of that red stuff. I'm famished." Therefore his name was called Edom, the Edomites. Because he said the red stuff, I guess. But Jacob said, "First sell me your birthright." Esau said, "Behold, I'm about to die. So what of use is there a birthright to me?" And Jacob said, "First swear to me." Esau swore to him, and he sold his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and some stew, and he ate and drank, rose and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. But remember, he's famished, about to die. Esau said that in the Bible. Why? What had he been doing? Why was he so tired that he was about to die? What happened to Esau just before his encounter with Jacob? The Bible is about looking forward to Jesus in the Old Testament. It explains what it needs to in order to understand about Jesus. From Genesis all the way through the Old Testament to when Jesus came. It's all about Jesus coming. God made sure there's enough writings that included that picture. We get that total picture of Jesus. So it had to skip over some details, or the Bible would just be too big. It can't go into detail on every little story that's in there. the Bible, God placed that Bible in such a way that's exactly pointing to Jesus coming. And I'm not even sure he didn't want us looking to find out the rest of those stories anyway. There's writings out there. Those writings are real. The Old Testament people we read about in the Old Testament, they used Enoch, Jasher, Jubilees. It was part of their regular Bible study. You talking about your daily Bible readings? They were reading Jasher, Enoch, and Jubilees. They just couldn't add everything in the Bible. So it does not tell everything that happened to these familiar Bible characters. We just know this based on the Bible. Esau was about to die from exhaustion. Why? And Esau at that time, after the death of Abraham, frequently went into the field to hunt. And Nimrod, king of Babel, also frequently went with his mighty men to hunt in the field and walk about with his men in the cool of the day. Verse 3, and Nimrod was observing Esau all the days, for he had a jealousy formed in his heart. Nimrod against Esau all the days. You hear that? Nimrod doesn't like Esau. There's a jealousy there. He doesn't like Esau at all. Now, verse 4, and on a certain day Esau went into the field to hunt, and he found Nimrod walking in the wilderness with these two men. There was a bunch of them, but they had separated, Nimrod and these main two. Esau concealed himself from Nimrod, and he lurked for him in the wilderness. Hey, Esau is stalking Nimrod. And I'm pretty sure it's not going to turn out too well for somebody. It's a big group of men with two men with him, and he's wandering in the wilderness. Well, Esau's watching. So now we're at verse 7. And Nimrod and his two men that were with him come to the place where they were, and Esau started suddenly from his lurking place, drew out his sword, hastened, ran to Nimrod, and cut off his head. And Esau fought a desperate fight with the two men that were with Nimrod. And when they called out to him, Esau turned on them after he killed Nimrod, and he smote them to death with his sword. Jasher chapter 27. And all the other mighty men of Nimrod heard the cry at the distance of those two men, and they started running toward them. They ran for the cause of it, it says, to help. And they found their king and the two men that were with him lying dead in the wilderness. Wow. Big battle. Verse 10. And when Esau saw the mighty men of Nimrod coming at a distance, he fled and thereby escaped, and Esau took with him the valuable garments of Nimrod, which Esau took those garments and ran to the city on account of Nimrod's men, came into his father's house, wearied and exhausted from fight, and he was ready to die through grief when he approached his brother Jacob and sat before him. Verse 12. And he said to his brother Jacob, behold, I shall die this day. Wherefore then do I want the birthright? Jacob acted wisely, cunning, I think, with Esau in this matter. And Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, for it was brought about by the Lord. So why was Esau so tired unto death? Hey, he had just killed Nimrod and was involved in a big battle. May even had some wounds. Remember, he told Jacob in the Bible, I'm famished unto death. Esau, from the Bible, is famished, about to die. He knows he's about to die. Did you know why? The Bible doesn't tell us. But the book of Jasher that parallels all through the Bible, but when the Bible leaves that part off, Jasher finishes it. Remember, the book of Jasher is not there to steer us to Jesus coming. The Bible is. The Bible can't add every little thing. So Jasher parallels the Bible and then fills in some gaps in some of these stories. And now we know, why was Esau so tired unto death? It makes sense now. I get it. And I'm guessing you didn't know that. Now you do. I told you. The Bible is super fascinating once you get in there and start digging around. And with the internet today, you can just research your heart away. So, we're going to talk about the valuable garments Esau took from Nimrod next week. That's even more fascinating, whether you hear it. So thanks, and I will see you next time, hopefully next week, from the banks of McHenry Creek. So until then, this is Terry, and I will see you then. Have some fun.